Hello and welcome. I'm your host, Elizibar. It's Criminal number 5. I just realized looking at the screen over there, the white text on that green is kind of hard to see in this particular lighting because the glare coming in from the window out there. But I love using natural sunlight when I can, you know? Sun's up there burning for us, providing us this light, and burning away, heating things up. And that's what this book's doing, man. While reading this, I felt like I was sitting in a pot temperature. Just going notch by notch, heating up. We got a private detective hired to find this woman. Uh, I really don't think I need to show you a whole lot of the art. I don't think I need to show you a whole lot of the text. But it's great. It feels like I'm watching a good detective. Well, maybe not a good. I feel like I'm watching a detective movie that's dark and depressing. You know, it's kind of gritty. You know, at like the lowest of possible levels, it's like that episode of Magnum PI where Frank Sinatra guest starred. You know, but that's just kind of like how this starts. We just ramp on up to, I don't know, like a Scorsese film as we're going through this. It's crazy. It's grimy. It's gritty. We're following this detective, and he tracks the girl down. And surprisingly, for a detective story, we actually follow him going through the motions. So here's him getting hired for the case. Here's him following clues down. I'm trying not to show you too much. Here's him talking to her, recounting the story of when he was in Vietnam. Every panel, every single panel, is a beautiful, grimy little painting. Every text bubble is gritty, full of lies, full of cruelty, except the ones from the detective, the main character. He starts out that way, but by the time he finds her, he changes his opinion, and we find out, we see the reasons why. We learn all about this dude. We actually can kind of understand him. One bit that's pretty good is kind of a familiar face. Totally blackjacks him right there. Oh, out of context. You don't know when that happens in the book because I didn't show you anything. Criminal number 5 is great. It's so good, I don't even understand the right words to use to tell you just how good Criminal is. You know, I know you're looking at this and you're seeing Tom King up here and you're like, oh, God, Tom King. Or you're like Rami and you're like, oh, yes, Tom King. Either way, ignore it. This blurb doesn't need to be up here. This book is so good, it sells itself. It absolutely sells itself. If you're not reading Criminal, I don't know what's wrong with you, man. Everything about it, Ed Brubaker's writing is great. Sean Phillips is doing the art. I see another name on the back cover here. I'm going to open this. Colors by Jacob Phillips. All right, well, he does a great job of it. It looks like dirty watercolors. It's a very unique mood. That's one thing this book does a really great job of doing. It brings the mood across. It brings that setting, the quiet desperation, the hollowness, the internal pain. All these characters that are in the story, they bring it with them and they show it to you. Not by just sitting down and being like, this is why I am broken. Like, mm, 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 like in this book, where you're explicitly told characters stand around and go, they just talk about stuff. Like, let's see. Yes, and I have decided I want to keep them, Evelyn. My memories are my experiences, and they make me who I am. I am stronger for having endured them, especially the terrible ones. Especially the terrible ones. These people don't talk like that. They're like real human beings. Real human beings don't say crap like in that Vampirella book. Real human beings say stuff like, let me find it. There was this great bit here where he's driving and he's thinking about his childhood. Hotels, trucks, and he's not even saying this. This is like semi-narrated, you know? We have like the narrator's not omniscient, but the narrator's kind of from his, like, it's from his perspective, but it's not him. It's weird. He's been sleeping in motel rooms or car. Where's car for 2 weeks now? He didn't even think about his mother. Years they lived on the road. Maybe that was why he liked the hunt so much. Because as bleeped up as those years were, a single mom and her kid on their own back in the 50s, there was something comforting about them, too. You learn so much about the character from a statement like that. And that's not the character sitting there saying to another character, oh, yes, you, you go, girl. You know, I grew up with my mom in the 50s, and we used to live in motels and stuff all the time because she would just sometimes blow up and kick out her boyfriend, and then we had no money, so we lived in a motel and we lived in the car and we drove around all the time. And there's something comforting about that, you know? The contrast. I read an absolute trash book right before this, and then I read this. And the contrast between them, it's like night and garbage. The contrast is so stark that they're not even on the same spectrum. They could be charging me $4.99 for this book instead of $3.99, and I would be all over it. Criminal's dope. And that's my word. I'll see you next time.